Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Season 5, Episode 400. I'm here with this very special guest, Jennyln Gleave, and I just want to say thank you for accepting my request and being a guest on my talk show.
Thank you. I feel very honored that you have chosen me for this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. The honor's all mine. Hey, you supported a good cause, making a new friend out of it. So that being said, for people who want to know what the point of my talk show is, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. But you should never give up, and you should prove to people you can still amount to something. You should prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, so you hashtag break the labels. That being said, half hour on 37 minutes of your time. Say anything you want, talk about whatever you want. This is your time. Supporting a good cause, making a new friend out of it. So that being said, what can you tell us about yourself?
I was born and raised in South America in a very, very small, remote city. And I don't even think I call it a city, but a town. And later in my life, went to school, finished my education, got married, moved to San Francisco, had 2 daughters, and then I had to reinvent my own life. And not having had my education in the United States, I have a British education. Because I was raised in a British territory, I could not equate my education to the education system here. So I found myself in a place where I wasn't sure where I fit. In America, there are so many boxes, and I couldn't really find a box that I fit in. So I sort of reinvented my life, and just like you, wanted to produce a show after a very sad situation occurred amongst a friend of my daughter's. He was gunned down over $100, apparently. That was the story we got. And I could not understand the waste of such a good life because of some poor choice. And we all make poor choices. Sometimes we can correct them, we can repair them, and other times we can't. They're irreparable. And we have to live with the consequences. So I wanted to, when I was at the church where they were having the memorial for him, and I saw the devastation and the sadness amongst people, adults and children, I was thinking, with my daughters gone, and I've always had a spirit of philanthropy and wanting to help the underdog. I feel that I was born for that purpose. I'm an underdog.
Right.
And I thought, what can I do with my life now that can help other people, that can somehow make life better for others? And the thought occurred to me that I should start a place where young people, the ones that often get involved with the gangs and the drugs, and I think a lot of times it's because they lack supervision because both of their parents have to go to work. So I thought, if I could open a center where all these kids whose parents were busy could come after school or when they had free time, we could turn those energies into productive outcomes for those people. And I thought maybe I could teach the girls to cook and sew and knit and decorate and do art, because I do all of that. And I write poetry, and I'm writing a book, and and I'm just a fearless human who believes that the sky is the limit, and if somebody else has done it, or even if they haven't done it, if it can be done, I can do it. That's my attitude. And so I thought that I could inspire young women, and I could ask fathers in the community who had the time to coach the young men either on playing soccer or whatever they like. But it would be a place where kids could go until their parents were through with work, and gainfully use their spare time so that they weren't drawn into these situations that result in poor choices. But I found out that I couldn't do a one-man philanthropy. I didn't have the funds, and I didn't have the infrastructure to do this. So I went to speak with someone from the city here in Mountain View, California, where I live, and asked what he thought I should do. And he told me there's an organization called PAL, which is the Police Athletic League, and they pretty much are offering what I wanted to do on my own. So he asked me, why don't you join that organization and use that energy to help them? And that's where my television show was born. I did have a few of the members of PAL on the show, and I had some interactions with them earlier. But later in my life, I opened a medical cosmetic clinic, and all of my energies went there, so I didn't have as much time as I had intended to dedicate to the PAL organization. But I continued to do my television show, and the goal of that show is very similar to yours. And I believe that everybody has a choice in their life, regardless of their socioeconomic backgrounds, to make a success of their life. It's all about choice. And so what I focus on when I interview the many, many fascinating, successful people who have graced my show with their presence and given me their time is we talk about, I focus more on the pathways to their success rather than their successes, because mainstream media shares that with us constantly, and that's how most of us have found out about these people. So I've decided to use my interview time with them to share how they got there. I'm blessed because I was privileged to interview Steve Wozniak and mayors and police chiefs and doctors, and have gone into life surgeries. And when I talk to them, I'm excited to learn how they got there, how they got to where they are. And a lot of them have come from meager beginnings, like a lot of us who I am trying to encourage with my videos. So recently I went to China. I was invited by a hospital in China, in Guangzhou, to share their story because their doctor is doing some cutting edge face repair. That he's using your own body fat and not injecting foreign products in the face like a lot of clinics and doctors do now. And I was fascinated with that whole concept and was lucky because he invited me. And so I don't only share material about high tech, but my show is success in all areas of life. And when you reached out to me and asked me to come on your show, and I did my research, I was very excited because I want to help in any way that I can to promote you and people like you. Because none of us are born perfect. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. Some of them are habits we've developed. Some of them we've been born with them. But none of it should stop us from living the fullest life that we can and adding value to other people's lives, especially the less fortunate. And I am passionate about doing that and encouraging others to do that.
No, I agree with you. And, for a perfect example, all my life I was labeled as mentally challenged, retarded, and I was always fretting about being put into a group home. But, with all those things and obstacles being thrown at me, it's all about turning a negative into a positive. And basically...
Absolutely.
No, go ahead.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. And I'm so sorry to hear that you were raised with those things. There are a lot of bullies in this world. And I've been bullied a lot because I'm very strong. And although I stand up very much for my philosophy and the way I see life, I know that I don't know everything. And not everything I believe is true. But those are my beliefs, and for whatever reason, I believe those things that I believe. My philosophy is based on my experiences and my perception of what my purpose is in this world. And I feel I'm entitled. It's my prerogative, as is yours, to believe and feel what you believe and feel. And as long as you're not hurting anyone with it, people should not bully anybody to believe what they believe. And I think that's one of the problems with the world. is too many people want you to believe what they believe. And then if you don't, sometimes they can become very ugly and violent. And I want you to know that when you were telling me, how you were bullied and they wanted to put you in a home, it really hurts my heart because God created all of us, each and every one of us, in His own image and His own likeness. And most people don't believe in God, so when they hear someone say something like what I'm saying, they think I'm some religious fanatic or a nut. I'm not a religious fanatic, and people can call me a nut if they want, but I know that although I'm a single unit, entity, human, I am making some difference in some people's lives. You reached out to me. How did you find me?
That's a good question. Let's see. I pretty much look for certain people that catch my interest, and I don't know. I came across your profile, and I was like, you look very interested. I would like to extend my hand to you in friendship, and I like giving people an opportunity and a chance.
Thank you. Thank you. My profile will pop out at you. That's what I want. I want people to look at me and see a woman who wants to make a difference in the world. I am not here to impress anybody. I have never seen anybody leaving the planet outside of a box or in an urn. And at the end of the day, we're all going to end up either one of those two ways. We're all going to die. And my hope is, although my life has been what it has and is, that I will leave a legacy behind of strength, encouragement, non-judgments, and love. And just helping people. The world is about people. People come and go. The world is always going to be there. It's been there for thousands and thousands of years. But no human has been here as long as the world has been. Therefore, while we're here, let's help each other. Let's get along. Let's love each other. None of us, we all have our own characteristics. We all have our own personalities. But let's just embrace each other. I believe a lot of the people who are out there killing other people and hurting other people are doing this because they are hurting. And you could have been one of those people. I could have been one of those people because, of circumstances that we've encountered in our lives or were born with, as in your case. And so when people bullied us, we could have become angry and gone out there and done what we've seen some people do. But instead, we've believed in ourselves. And I don't know, if you have a belief in God, but I know that God is my strength and everything that I am. I give all of the credit to Him because He has strengthened me and created the pathways for me to do what I am doing that's hopefully helping other people. Clearly, it's helping some people because you were impressed enough to reach out and make me your 400th episode, the guest of that episode. And that is really satisfying to me because it makes me know that what I'm doing is making an impact. And that's the point of doing it.
No, absolutely. Now, my next question to you is, how did you start your career and who influenced you?
How did I start my career? You mean the television show?
Yes.
Actually, I grew up in South America, and from the age of 10, I was an actress. I was in many drama competitions. I had an amazing drama teacher, which I'm going to make sure he watches this. I give all of the credit to him. I love acting. I really do. When I'm on stage, it's like I am living in my purpose. And I won my first drama competition. I competed amongst many, many schools, and I won. I couldn't even believe I won. But I do everything with passion, and I do it with my best, or I won't do it at all. I don't believe in mediocre. So while I was in nursing school, I went to nursing school. While I was getting my education, drama was always my outlet from academic. It was the way where I put my energy, the place where I put my energy, and where I had fun. And I got started with this television show 8 years ago because my drama teacher connected with me on Facebook after many, many years. Thank God for Facebook, right? And he asked me, are you in a theater in San Francisco? And I said, no, this is San Francisco. This is not Guyana. It's not a little fishbowl. It's an ocean. And so many people here want to become actresses and actors and models. There's no way I can do it at this time in my life. And he goes, his words to me were, I trained you. I know how good you are. Pick up the phone. Go get in a theater. Go and audition in a theater. And I was in the process of looking to do that when I met a woman who invited me on her television show. She was doing a segment on poetry. And I write poetry. Most of it I never share with anyone. And so I thought, I'm going to go on a TV show and talk about poetry? What am I going to say? But I went and I did it. And at the end of the show, she told me that I was a natural and I should really think about doing my own television show. And the rest is history. I took the classes. I worked on other people's shows. I worked many, many, many hours. I took classes on editing. I did all of the footwork. And then when I was comfortably enough, I gave birth to the Jennyln show. And as long as I can speak, I'm going to be doing it because I love people. I'm passionate about hearing their stories, and this is a great place for me to share it because I hope that every single show I produce is going to make a difference in at least one life. And if it does, it's worth every second that I put into doing it.
No, I agree with you. Now, what is the concept of your show?
It is to encourage people like you and I and other people who have various challenges, whether it's socioeconomic, whatever. It is to encourage people. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from. You have a choice to make a success of your life. You do not listen to other people's opinions of you. How in the world can they know you? Who knows you better than you, right?
Right.
Why do we allow people's opinions of us to bias how we see ourselves, to affect how we see ourselves? If you don't know you, then you're definitely lost. You have to stand for something or you'll fall for everything. And so I spent the time getting to know me, and I know who I am, and nobody out there in the world can tell me anything other than what I know to be true, because I live in this body. This mind, soul, and body belongs to me. And I am going to make a success of it, even if it's a very small one. I am going to do that. And so, in answer to your question, I believe that we all have a choice. And we should all make the choice that will make life better for us and other people. But that's just my opinion.
No, absolutely. Now we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I ask you two more hard-hitting questions, and I'm going to pass the show over to you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 300. Welcome back to episode 400. I'm here as the talented and beautiful Ms. Gleave. Ms. Gleave, and I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Your kind compliments.
I'm a good person. I do stupid things, but I'm a good person.
Join the club. It's called being human.
It's true. Now, before I pass the show over to you, I do have a couple items I'd like to show you. But before I get to the items, first question I was going to ask you is social media. Do you think social media can make you or break you?
I think it can do both. I think that it's everything in life. It depends on your intention when you use it. If you abuse anything, usually the effects aren't usually good, as you know. I believe everything done in moderation shouldn't hurt you. And also you need to, whenever you get involved with anything, you need to examine the consequences and ask yourself, how is it going to, in my case, I go, how is it going to benefit others and I, if I participate or if I engage? And then, depending on what the answer is, it will determine if I get involved or not. I believe that social media is a great tool. In my case, I have an international family. I have 11 siblings, and they live around the world. And so instead of having to call every one of them and say, oh, I did this. I went to China. I opened a clinic. I scrubbed the floors. I burnt my shirt with the iron. I could just put it on Facebook and everyone knows, what's happening with me. And it makes it easy for everybody to remain connected. I think if I start posting naked pictures of myself and personal disgusting stuff on there, clearly, I don't need to tell you how that's going to affect my life.
Right.
So I believe social media is a great tool, but you need to use it sensibly. And you need to make it work for your good and the good of other people. But I think like everything else, some people don't think like you and I. And so for those people, I think social media is bad. But as long as they're not affecting my life with what they are doing, it's okay. Because in the world, as you know, we are living with two forces that are constantly at play, the dark and the light. And it's up to us to choose which one of those two existences we want to exist in and make a part of our lives. And I'm definitely someone of the light. I don't quite like the dark. And so usually when I do anything, I think it's good because I've done my homework and I know the consequences before I engage.
Well, I think of myself as a human yin-yang, good and bad, up and down, left and right. But I try to keep myself neutral, right in the middle.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great summary, actually, because nobody just lives with the good and there's no bad. Right. Clearly, you go back and forth. But when you're in the situation where you have to make a choice, I gravitate toward the light.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, the couple items I'd like to show you, it will be available. I'm still working on someone who wants to help me make more of these. But I have the official KeithAndrewNetWork Network hat. I originally wanted just the circle, but they didn't do the circle, so I said, okay, let's do the shield. What's funny about the shield is when I was wearing it, and I work in Woodbury Commons, when I was wearing it in the Commons, people think I'm security.
That's cool. So that means they stay away from you.
Yeah, that too. But it's not what I wanted it to mean or represent. You see my logo is a big circle with the 13. Yeah. That's what my main logo is. This is my backup one. But my trophy I wanted to show you, and a lot of people say you don't buy yourself a trophy. So the joke is a trophy for me. I could have came up with tiny little things, season 1, season 2, and something else for like season 3 being a different color. But I wanted something fancy, something big that would say it will commemorate my 4 years and a half, and it will also go into the other generation. It will go into the other 5 years.
Yes.
So I'm a big wrestling fan, and I would like to reintroduce to my viewers, basically a long story short, I had this belt. You can go to crowns.com and they do custom trophies. And the new thing on Crowns is they do custom championship belts. And I'm like, well, I'm a wrestling fan. Why not make my own championship? So, with that being said, I introduced this in my last season once I got over 300. But this is a very special interview because it's over 400. Right. I'd like to reintroduce the KeithAndrewNetWork Network Championship. It's a little banged up, but
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a beautiful belt.
Are you selling them?
For right now, this one's it's just for me. But once I get more of them, then yes. The only thing I didn't like about it, and I kind of ruined it, is you can see in the centerpiece right here, how it's a
Yes.
little scuffed.
Yes.
I basically said to him, um, I don't want it to be plastic. I want it to be glass.
Yeah.
And what happens if it peels? Oh, it won't peel, blah, blah, blah. So what happens occasionally, luckily he hasn't done it, but occasionally, okay, for an example, you would see right here, this part right here, it's starting to peel up. And I was like, why couldn't you guys take, it's for $200. You get what you pay for. I said, I want to make sure it doesn't pop up and gets ruined. The centerpiece always came off. So my mistake was I used Gorilla Glue and it smudged. And I used a paper towel and went to wipe it, and that's why I had like a smudge there. And
You paid $200 for that?
yep, I wanted something really nice, and it's like, you know what? I want this, and this stands out the most to me.
Okay.
And I could have gotten myself upper belts. I did have a replica WCW belt and an upper plastic WWE toy, but that doesn't mean anything to me because I didn't win it. I didn't earn it. This is something I earned. This is something I worked for my ass off for the past 4.5 years. This year will be 5. So to me, I could have gotten any little trophies here and there, but this is, season 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 5. And it's just about showing people that, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. And
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more.
sorry, my cat was trying to piss on the box, so I had to put the box away. Molly, stop being a monster. So basically, while the box is here, you can go to crowns.com.
Okay.
They do a lot of nice things. You do crystal statues, trophies actually, crystal trophies, marble trophies, and the wrestling belt. It's really nice.
Okay.
And just doing a little
Thank
plug.
you for sharing it with me.
No, I'm sorry?
Thank you for sharing that with me.
No, absolutely. And when you're on your show, I would like to show it off too.
Okay.
But, it's pretty much, I have it out, might as well show it off. But with that being said, I'm going to pass the show over to you. Was there anything you wanted to know? Anything you wanted to talk about? This is your time, after all.
So I would like to invite you on my show eventually. We need to work this out because I'm not so great at the Skype thing. I hope I'm doing well and I'm positioning myself right and all of that because I don't want to ruin your show. But how did you get from the place where you said people thought you should be in an institution to doing this?
Make a long story short, I wasn't the most easiest person to get along with, and I do a lot of stupid things, but I have poor mannerisms. So, I used my brother for an inspiration. I used my dad for an inspiration. My dad was a former assistant principal, and he had, Wesley Snipes in his class. He met Al Pacino. He met Tony Bennett. He was on a parade as Mayor Giuliani. And I told him I mostly used my dad for an inspiration. And I'm like, for the long time, I call it my boomerang effect. You would throw the boomerang, back in 06, say, don't have to do this, I don't have to do that. I don't have to do a lot of things because, I'm handicapped, I'm retarded, I will get passed, things will be done for me. And then I started to realize that things aren't going to be done for you. And if you do the bare minimum, you're going to get what you get. So I basically got sick in 2007. Long story about this whole retail thing. I suffered from depression, social anxiety, and panic attacks. Long story short, say you're this girl I'm working with, or say you're the manager, and the girl will say, "Oh, Keith, you can tell me anything," and blah blah blah. Then she would run to you and say, "Oh, Keith is stalking me. Keith is doing this. Keith is doing that." You would yell at me and say, "Don't do this. I'm rewarding you." I go back on the sales floor. I can't snap my fingers, but the girl would be right there. "Oh, we're not screwing with you. We're having fun with you. Don't take it so personally." So that's really brought my anxiety out. Well, high school, I was still having attacks too because I thought people were my friends, but they were still yammering about me. So that started it. Then it started.
That doesn't only happen to you. Trust me, people are just mean and nasty. I've had a lot of people like that in my life as well.
Oh,
just so you know.
No, absolutely. So I started in high school, but slowly went away. And then I worked at the store, and it really brought it out. I spent more time in the bathroom vomiting and having panic attacks. And I left. I tried working over at Skechers for the holidays. And after the holidays, I just decided I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do it. And it took me a whole year to recover. In 2009, I went to West Point. They were offering courses to be custodians and janitors. And I did that, and I still didn't want to work in retail. I tried working in retail over at Home Goods because they wanted a janitor to come in and clean the store and everything. And I was like, it doesn't matter. Because the job coach helps people with special needs hold down the job. And the problem was she was following me around the store. She was micromanaging me. And she was making my hands shake. And I'm like, I can't do my job if you're going to be up my ass. So basically, I said I didn't want to do it. I was unemployed from 2010 to about, 13. 2013, I was about, my cat's breaking my concentration. Hang on for 1 second. So basically, I was unemployed from 2013 to about 2000. Actually, from 13, I was always employed. I worked over at one store, didn't work out. The manager was a dick. he was a real skinhead. So I left there, then I went over to Target. I worked at Target. I stayed there for a while. Then up from Target, I went over to KB Toys. So I basically bounced job to job to job. And I'm like, I don't want to do retail for the rest of my life. There has to be something that I'm passionate about. And then for the longest time, like the boomerang effect, as I threw it, it was coming back and whack me in the ass. It's like, there has to be something I can do that I can show people I can sell them out to something. With that being said, I was like using my disability as a crutch. Can't do this, I can't do that, I can't drive, can't live on my own, I'm a burden to people, blah blah blah. And so I'm going to show you with a learning disability, I can sell them out to something. So I'm turning a weakness into a strength. And I'm showing people, hey, you can label me whatever you want, but I'm going to show you I'm going to have the last laugh. And with the bell in the show, I'm slowly proving to people I'm capable of doing things.
Have your parents been very supportive of you with this endeavor?
So.
So how do you, when you produce a show, like I have a YouTube website, do you have one?
Yes, I have a website. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on Pinterest, but I don't use Pinterest. So, pretty much, I'm everywhere. You name it, I'm on there.
Do you have a follower? Do you have followers? How many do you have?
Let's see. My main Facebook fan page has over 510 people. My backup page, don't ask me why, but my backup page has over 1,000. Twitter, it's almost near 900. Right, so about 844 the last time I checked. The numbers keep changing. Instagram, it's like pulling teeth. It's really hard to get people to follow me on Instagram. LinkedIn, I try not to use it that much. Stage 32, I use it to network. That's really about it. So, yeah, I do have people following me. If you go on my fan page, like, here's all the women who I interviewed, and they hold up a sign. I like to have you a part of it. Basically, they hold up a sign that says, I support Keith Andrew, I support the Keith Andrew Network. So I have over 100 women that do that for me. And then I have about, I don't know, like 40 guys that said they took the picture, but saying and doing is two different things. Say, yeah, I will take the picture for you. I will do this, I will do that. But yet they don't do it. So yes, it should have been more, but I don't know what their excuses are. But my fan base is slowly moving.
And what type of material do you cover? What type of stories do you tell on this show?
Alright, well, for an example, I interviewed actors, actresses, models, CEOs, professional wrestlers, dancers, cheerleaders, people with learning disabilities, people without learning disabilities. I interviewed whites, blacks, Spanish, Asians, Indians. I cover everyone. I make sure I cover the basis. And I pretty much just go and show you that I like giving people an opportunity. The one reason I approached you is because I liked your profile, and I said, you know what, I like to extend my hand to you in friendship, and I want to give you an opportunity.
How very sweet. I'm very happy that this is how I'm being perceived on the internet, because we do our thing and we know who we are, but we don't know. We are not always privy to people's perceptions of us
Right.
and what we're doing and what our intentions are, and if we're getting that across. So I'm grateful that through you I'm finding out, and I know that you're being very objective, that I'm getting some very objective feedback, which is important to me, because I'm not about being beautiful or looking beautiful, or I want to impress upon people the fact that they have a choice to control what becomes of their life. And I am happy that I'm not coming across like, anything else. So
No,
thank you. Thank you. I feel like an honored guest.
no, absolutely. And what I do in my free time, I don't want people to think I'm a one-trick pony. So occasionally I do win presents, and I also do fan-made parodies. I like Dumbo and I like Jungle Book. So I would have people reenact the lines, and I do my fan-made parodies to that. So I do other things on the side to get people interested in my work, saying, oh, I'm not just hung up just about, disabilities. I can do fun things too, like fan-made parodies or voiceovers. So I do, things here and there that get people's attentions, and it's pretty much showing you that I'm capable of doing different things.
You are capable of doing anything you set your mind to. I really believe that. Throughout my life, I've been told I couldn't do so many things, and I have done them. So here's my secret. Well, it's not a secret now, I'm telling it on TV. Maybe secret is not what I'm trying to say. Here's my advice to you. When you get an idea to do something you're passionate about, don't share it with too many people. Because there are so many people that live in boxes. And for me, boxes and circles do not exist. And they limit themselves with those boundaries. I do not allow that in my life. So if I want to do something, I'm going to go do it. And if it doesn't work out, well, it's not because I didn't try.
Yes.
So for me, my advice to you is when you have an idea to do something, you can probably do it. Just don't tell too many people. Just go do it and then show them.
Yeah,
And also, don't live your life to prove anything to people. Just live your life to what you believe its purpose is. Because you know what? They're not that important. They don't really, deep down inside, very few people care what really happens with us.
That's true.
They are just waiting around for us to fail, and then they're like, oh, and then it's their coffee table subject. And I have gotten past where that matters. I know who I am, and I am not defined by money or prestige. I have my purpose, and it is to make a difference in other people's lives and to make the best of mine, regardless. And I'm going to do it, and you will do it too. And you are doing it.
No, absolutely. Now, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but wrapping up, I do have two things I want to run past you. The first one is, are you on social media? Are you on LinkedIn, Twitter, Stage 32? You want to plug your social media? And while on the subject, is there any websites out there that you would recommend?
www.jennylynshow.com for sure. And yes, I am on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I have a Twitter account. I'm not a big tweeter. I don't send out a lot of tweets. Our president is doing enough of that for me. I just had to throw that in there. But I use my Facebook a lot, and I also I use YouTube a lot because almost all of my material I load onto YouTube. Now my television show I do on and off, out and in a television studio. So I travel around the world and the country. Now I can say world because I just went to China, and I'm going to be doing a lot more traveling for television. But I do produce my show at the local station here, and I wish, sincerely wish, I could have you as a guest on my show. But since you're all the way in New York, we're going to have to do it on Skype, like we're doing this. This is my first Skype interview. But I must tell you, on my way to China, I met the most fascinating woman, and she lives in Thailand, but she is from Illinois. And she teaches people on how to take care of elephants. And so this is like my rehearsal for that interview, because she has promised to let me do an interview with her. And I'm going to be doing it on Skype. So thank you, Keith. Now I have Skype set up, and it's just a matter of getting her on here, and we're going to be doing a segment about her and the elephants. I was fascinated with that. Do you like elephants?
Yeah, I love elephants.
Yes, that's the closest I've ever come to anybody who is involved with them. So I cannot wait to do my interview with her.
Well, I do have a couple questions for the woman for your interview. You just slide it in to say it's from a friend.
Okay, awesome.
But I do want to talk to you off the air with a couple ideas.
Okay.
Wrapping up our show, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction? And after doing the interview, how do you feel now?
Well, my first reaction was like, who is this guy? And how did he find me? So then I checked you out, and I'm like, oh, I got to do an interview with him. Because his show is based on the whole purpose of why I do my show. And how could I neglect this interview? Then I'm a hypocrite. Are we offline?
No, we're still on here.
Camera? Yeah, because I thought if this is why I do my show, is to encourage people, especially people who think they have handicaps or who have been diagnosed with handicaps. I think we look at some people, they look normal to us when we look at them, but they've got their own handicaps that we are not aware of, whether it's insecurities or they don't like something about themselves that is affecting the way they live their lives. My show is to tell them, you make the best of what you've got, right? So when you approached me, if I didn't do this interview, then I'm a big hypocrite. So of course I wanted to do this. When I did the research and I found out what your whole purpose was and the point of your show, I said I was going to make the time whenever you were ready. And we just did it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Now, wrapping up our interview segment, it was a real honor and privilege to have you as a guest. And I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.
Thank you, and I'm looking forward to having you on my show, where I'm going to be the one asking the questions.
Looking forward
Because
to
I'm
it.
very curious, and I want you to leave a message for people who were born with whatever it is that you have that causes, some of the problems you've encountered in your life. And I want you to tell them how you've overcome it. Because clearly, like me, you are an overcomer. And don't ever, ever doubt yourself.